Right, we are going to do a speed run through a timing belt on a 2005 Vauxhall or Opel Vectra. 1.6, this isn't a lot of them. You don't see too many of these around anymore because they're too old to insure in Ireland, unfortunately. Hello and welcome to another Budget and Leggit video. Yes, we are doing a timing belt on this bad boy. This car is in unbelievable condition. 2005, one owner from new. Absolutely bloody mint. Anyway, you can't really see it, but you get the idea. And unfortunately I don't have a lot of time to film this, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you all the important things, but things like removing the airbox, removing this, removing the covers, removing the engine mounts and stuff like that, jacking it up, putting on axle stands, removing the wheels, I'm not going to show because that's easy. It's just nuts, bolts, clips or whatever the case may be. The reason why I'm filming it is because one of my most viewed videos of all times, over 1 million views, is doing similar work on an Opel, on an old Opel Astra, and a lot of, well, most of the views are from places like Africa and stuff, so maybe these cars are quite common over there and they want to keep them on the road, which is fair enough. They're not really common in Ireland as such, because even though this is 2005, the insurance companies are just putting everyone's premiums up. They want to get these cars off the road, which is, in my opinion, crazy. But is it like a conspiracy to try and get you to buy an electric vehicle? Because, you know, as long as the car is past the test of the country, which this has, then the insurance companies are saying basically it's too old. You need to get a newer vehicle. But it's like, well, hold on a second. It's passed the test, so it should be okay. And it was okay when it was brand new. So why isn't it okay now? It's passed the national road safety test. It should be okay. And they're saying, no, you need to get a newer car. So then people go and buy a newer car and the premium goes up and they're like, hold on a second, you said to get a newer car because this is too... Oh yeah, but the newer car's worth more money. Well, if you go out and spend 50 grand on a car, the insurance company will have to spend 50 grand if you ride it off. This, they don't have to. It's fucking crazy. Doesn't make sense to me, but that's for another video. Anyway, I'm going to take off the airbox. I'm going to take off the engine cover. I'm going to take off the timing belt cover, and I'm going to take off the wheel. And we're also going to take off, is there a, oh, then there's no cover on this, and the wheel liner. I'm going to get all that off, and then we're going to see what the story is. Sorted. Right, what we need to do, or what you should do, is when you take everything off, we need to take off the tensioner, leave the bolt with the tensioner. This is the bottom cover, leave the bolts with the bottom cover, so they're all, you just know, so you know where to put them. That is the bottom pulley. Same again with all this over here. So I've left all the nuts, bolts, whatever it is, with the case or with the cover, with whatever, so you know exactly where to put it back. It just makes your life a lot easier. Right, customer supplied the parts. They got a Gates timing belt kit, which I used to love, but Gates they changed the manufacturer, and it's just been a shit show ever since. I wouldn't buy another Gates kit because I've just had too many problems with them. But the customer brought this, so I'm going to use it. We have water pumps. What's this? Oh, it tells you what to do. That's kind of handy. You don't get that in a lot of kits anymore. I like that. We have the new tensioner and a couple of new pulleys. So, as regards special tools, now some cases I've proven you can just use nuts, bolts, drill bits and all sorts. But there is sometimes you do need a special tool. This is the special tool for this. Now, depending on what you do and how many cars you work on, to buy this little thing here is really quite cheap, but it'll only do one car. There's a couple of ways of doing this, depending on how many cars you do and stuff like that. The kit that this is out of has a few different ones in, as you can see, right? For different cars, different stuff, blah, 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 blah. One missing from there, it looks like. Annoying, anyway. Or what you can do is you can go for more the kit specially designed for the car, which this one is kind of. This is designed for the newer or the older ones, because this one doesn't have the gap in the middle between here, because there's a little plastic thing. I'll show you that in a second. But this is for the other tensioner. We don't need a tool for the tensioner, and this is the actual locking tool for the tensioner. Or what you can do if you work on a lot of different cars, because this is the most expensive way of doing it, is you can get like a universal cam locking tool, I've shown this on other videos. This is really good, but it was expensive at the time. Don't know how much it is now. But this is a single cam locking tool, and this is a double cam locking tool, and it's completely, you know, completely adjustable, and it basically does most of them. So if you do a lot and you don't want to spend, you know, 30 odd quid every time on a tool, that soon adds up. You can buy this, which essentially kind of does most of them, not all of them, but certainly a lot of them, and even does the single cams. So it depends on your budget what you want to do, but as you can see with this one, we have a cut in the middle because this has got a plastic thing on there, and it won't, the other one I showed you won't fit through. Right, so there we go. Let me set this timing up properly, and I'm going to show you all the marks, even though I've kind of already done it. So let me just show you, get the torch on. Right, the two cams have two little cuts put into them there and there, and they have to line up straight. And again, you'll know when you got it in straight if you've got this specific tool, because this tool will only go in once they're lined up. I'm trying to do this one-handed now. So there we go. But what we also need to do is we need to also double mark it here, because this can move. Even though you got the tool in, it can still move. So I like to, I'm going to put at least 2 marks up on here and 2 marks up on there, so I can clearly see if anything is moved. It could move slightly in here and you wouldn't know. Then we come down to the bottom, and you can see we have a little groove on the timing case cover, and then we have a groove. You can't really see it, but believe me, it's there. Let me just take that off and show you a bit better. You can see the mark that's on the bottom pulley. There you go, you can see it lining up with there. Again, I'm going to Tipp-Ex this. This one's a lot easier to see if it moves. But what I tend to do is at least put 2 marks. It's easier to see if 2 marks has moved rather than 1. Because when 1 mark moves, if you haven't marked it exactly, you might think it hasn't moved. You put 2 or 3 marks there, it's a lot easier to see. There is our tensioner there at the bottom, and there is our water pump. So we're going to remove the tensioner first. Well, I'm actually going to put all Tipp-Ex on here first. Put all Tipp-Ex on here, and then I'm going to remove the tensioner. Right, hopefully you can see I've got the camera kind of balancing. What we're going to do is, the tensioner camera's in my way, but hopefully this problem with the camera being in the way. I can't get on there properly. Trying to get you a shot, it's causing me lots of problems. Come on. Oh, I need this, don't I? I fucking need this. Oh, fucking hell. Problem is, that's been over tightened, and now it's causing me a problem. Oh yeah, I mean, it's only like 25 newtons I think this is supposed to be torqued at. Oh, I just broke. No. Oh, bastard. I can't move that. Oh. Oh. Oh no. Who the fuck did this? What fucking prick, whoever fucking did this now. Let's try and get it from a different angle. Oh god, that was ridiculous. I mean, it's a stupid bolt to put on it anyway. Let's just put a proper nut or proper bolt head on it. What the fucking shit that they use, but still, you get a muppet that over tightens it, and you're in a world of shit. Why isn't this slackened off yet? That should have moved by now. The tensioner should have moved. Oh, don't say they've done damage to this. Oh, that feels like there's Loctite on it. There shouldn't be. There shouldn't be Loctite on this. Look, we got a new bolt because this bolt is damaged. Holy shit. Oh, why isn't this moved? This tensioner was even doing anything. That tensioner should move by now. There we go. I shouldn't have had to hit it to move. It should have just automatically second off. Oh yeah. There we go. There's no Loctite on it, but I do not like the way. Made in Canada. The original GM one. Made in Canada. Oh no. They've rounded. Oh, they've rounded the water pump fucking bolts. Oh. Fucking hell, man. Oh, it's completely rounded. Oh my god. Oh yeah, one thing I did forget to do is disconnect the cam sensor here. Come on. Oh, fuck you. Pushing it in to try and loosen it, and still doesn't do it. There we go. We need that off because we need to just disconnect it so we can actually get the belt off. Now, see the Tipex marks I've made. So what I'm going to do now is take it off here, take it off here. This belt was bad. You can see all the grooves that's in it, and I'm sure, oh yeah, look at it, I'll show you in a second. It was bad. Right, so you see all them marks in it and grooves in it? I'll turn off, maybe I press it together. I'll turn off the light, maybe the light's causing an issue. No, fucking shit GoPro won't fucking zoom in enough. Look at that, now you can really see. Look at the cracks that's on that. This belt hadn't done the mileage, but it's done the years. This is a very important thing. The belt is not, technically, hasn't done the right mileage, or hasn't done the 80,000 odd miles or whatever it's supposed to have on it before it changes. But it's more than 4 or 5 years old. People just think, oh, well, it hasn't done the mileage, it's okay. No. If you was to put a brand new belt on this and store this for 5 years, you would need to put another belt on it without doing any miles. So always bear that in mind. Now this water pump, there's no play in it. Sounds good. I'm going to have to bring the customer because this could turn into a nightmare for me to maybe get that off. It might just be easier in this case just to put a new belt on it, because this could turn into an absolute fucking nightmare. There's at least one of them bolts rounded, if not two. Oh, let me ring the customer and find out what they want me to do. See if I can get you in here so you can see. the bottom bolt. Where is it? You see that? It's just completely rounded. I think the other bolt, there's 3 bolts to it. You see the difference between that one? You see it? That one there is okay, but this one is rounded. And I don't know. I just don't know. It could cause a serious issue. Also, fucking looks like it's leaking. Oh shit. Oh. Right, I managed to get the bottom one out. And I've got the side one out, which is good. So that's all good. Only because I can see it leaking. See all that crap, where is it? See all that crap around the bolt? That pump's been leaking, so I just couldn't leave it in because I just think it's going to cause even more problems. And we were lucky we managed to get that out relatively easy. So hopefully now, one more bolt to go, and this one I can't quite see. Right, there we go. Okay, 5mm Allen key, by the way, just in case you're wondering. Oh, come on, what's going on here? Why is it? Oh, it's gone under the cover. No. Right, try and catch all that water anyway. That's it, right in my fucking eyes. Oh. Wait for that to drain. You see it all. Lovely. Right, you're not really going to be able to see what I'm doing, but at least you get the idea. This is now the hole, you just see it here where my finger is, where the water pump used to be. So we got to now clean all this because the new water pump has only got this seal on here, and I'm a big believer if it's got a seal, leave the seal. Don't put a load of sealer over it, because that can cause problems too, getting in the water system, causing blockage and all sorts of stuff. Now if it needs sealer, okay, it needs sealer. But if it's got a ring gasket on it, just leave the gasket. Or it's got a normal gasket on it, just fucking use the gasket. Clean the area properly. You're not going to really have an issue. I say that and watch this fucking pissing leaking now. So we need to clean this. So what I've got is I've got my drill and I've got a 90-degree attachment onto it. That's going to allow me, with a wire brush on, it's going to allow me to get in here and hopefully, fingers crossed, twist the drill and twist the drill. And nope, this way maybe. There we go. Now hopefully it works. It's a bit awkward, but you get the idea. Now hopefully that looks a lot better. I'll have to double check and maybe do it a couple of times. Now lucky enough, on the looks of it, the old water pump, it wasn't well, was it? No, not really. It wasn't leaking from here, which means that there would be an issue, and it means maybe someone has really gone to town on that and damaged it, so you would need to put some sealer on it. But when you look at it, it looks really like it's coming from in here, dripping down. That's what it looks like. Because if it was coming from here, it wouldn't necessarily open out as much as that. It's hard to say. Just, I can't see any sign. All this stuff is all the way around, kind of evenly on there. So I'm guessing it's coming from inside there. That's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm going to stick to. Yeah, so if you look at it here, there is a gap. Where's that water coming from now? This can only go on one way, as far as I remember. So I'm just going to take this seal out. Just want to quickly check something. I don't want to use this seal. Come on, you fucking prick. There we go. Right. I want to make sure. Now I know this ridge goes to the top. I just want to make sure, can this go in multiple ways? Or can it just go in one way? See, technically now, that shouldn't fit. But technically now, no, but do you know what it is? It's that fucking bolt I couldn't get off. I've gone underneath the fucking cover. It came out, but I can't get it off. The washer gone back. No. Oh, hold on. This is still there. Can you come off? That Allen key was still there. Hopefully that was stopping me. I'm gonna have to get that fucking bolt out, aren't I? And the problem is, it's gone in behind the cover, which is not good. Let's see what I can do. I've got all seal on my hands now, my hands are all slippery. Right, just let me keep cleaning that, because it's not, I can see it's not fully clean. Keep cleaning that, get that bolt out, and then we'll try and get it back in. Right, I just want to show you the pump and the little mark of the pump. You see it there? It lines up with that hole. So as you're looking at the engine, it lines up with the hole nearest the engine mount. There's one at the bottom and there's one at the side. I actually thought it could only go in one way, but it can actually go in any way. And it's important to get that lined up, because otherwise the belt either going to be, well, you're not going to get the belt on, or it's going to be too loose. So I'm just going to now off camera get all that on, take these two pulleys off and replace them with the new one. Then we're ready to put the belt back. Right, a really good tip for you is really make sure you know which way these come off, because if you look at this, there's a lip on here, and if you're not used to doing timer belts, you might think the lip goes this way to stop the timer belt from slipping off, for example, and it just doesn't work. Now, lucky enough with these particular type, you can't go wrong, because once you put them in, always make sure they spin. If you put this on the wrong way, it wouldn't spin. You'd hear all sorts of cracks and all sorts. It would sound horrible, because this is going to hit the body before this tightens up. Sometimes there's washers in behind here, so just be careful. This one's the same. The lip was actually on the inside, not on the outside like some people might think. So always make sure before you take anything off, keep a mental note, take a picture. Okay, that pulley goes on that way, goes on this way, does this, does that, because believe me, this could cause you an absolute nightmare if you don't. So we've got the new pulley on, well, the two new pulleys on. Now what we've got left is the tensioner. Now this tensioner is no, there's no pin on it. And there's two slots for a new belt or an old belt. Now, to be crazy, that's crazy putting an old belt on there. Always put a new belt on it. Sometimes these come where they're actually like spring loaded, so they're completely been tensioned off. This one hasn't, so this one is going to be a bit of a nightmare putting on, because the tension's fully on it. That's fucking annoying, that is. Anyway. There's normally a little arrow on here showing you which way you can go. There's a little arrow there, so these can only go one way, and only tension it one way. And this little stud here has to go in the engine, because if it doesn't, you won't be able to tension it. And when this goes in the engine, you put the bolt in there. When you spin this around, this here is going to move across all the way across like that to our new mark. I'll show you once I get it in. Hopefully I can film that. Right, just so you can see, here is where the tension should go in. Here is where the mark is, just there, look. That's where this needs to slot into that indentation there, and that will allow you to actually tension this. Right, so a couple of things you want to make sure. You want to make sure there's no arrows on the belt. Sometimes there is. That's the way it has to go directionally. If there isn't, you can put it any way. Doesn't matter if the writing's facing towards you or that way. Also, sometimes there's marks, there's actual timing belt marks on the belt. So just be aware of that. Now, this is going to be awkward, is going to be my guess. So we're going to go on quite easy, or it's going to be absolutely bloody awkward. So I'm going to first try it going off this tensioner, going around, going that way first. Actually no, because the most important thing is we've got slack this side. We need this side to be taut and this side to be slack. So actually I'm going to start this side, because the side of the tensioner is where you need it to be slack, and when you make the tensioner tension, you get the belt doesn't tend to slip or move or anything daft like that. But it's a bit awkward to get it on there first, so let's kind of, it's not on there properly. I'm just kind of resting it there for the minute. I'm going to go down below now and see what we can do. Right, we need to move this one up by one tooth. We've got enough slack to hopefully move the belt. Oh, there we go, yes. Now, is this going to go in easy for me, or is it going to be a nightmare? And the answer to that is, it's not going to go in easy for me. It's not going to go in easy for me. Sometimes it's easier to half take off the belt, so it's only halfway on. You tend to get a little bit more room doing it that way. Oh. Bastard. Right, let me try doing it this way. So take this off here. No, you're not going to come off, are you? This might not work either, but it might. I'll put it way off. Oh, we're close. Oh, we're close, we're close. We are fucking close. We're close. Oh, that's so close. I mean, like, so close. Is that on? Oh, I thought it was on. It's scarily close, that. I wonder if I just loosen that. Loosen that a little bit. Slack. From tensioner. Right. Hopefully that's done it. I kind of put the tensioner hand tight in one place, thinking that was its lowest or its weakest point, but I don't think it was. Or slackest point, should I say, not weakest point. Oh, come on. You fucking prick. Oh, hold on. It's on. It's not. It's not on. Oh. Just slide it off here a bit. Get a bit more room. I'm here. Oh, so close. I mean, so close. Oh. Right, let me try getting it on there. And then on here, I don't think it's going to be the way though. It's closer, but it's not. Oh, you fucking arsehole. Oh, fucking arsehole. Fucking hate timing belts. That's tight, that's tight. How far are we off? We're just not off far at all. It's so close. Oh, you fuck. Come on, get in there. There we go. Oh no, it's come off. There we go, we're on. Okay. So maybe doing the top cams first or last is best. Right. Providing the bottom hasn't moved, we are on. And even if the bottom has moved, in some cases, not all cases, when you tension the tensioner, it can move it back into place as long as it's moved the right way, if that makes sense. But we all look good. Doesn't look like it's moved on us. Let's just check the bottom. Yeah, we're good on the bottom. So now what I got to do is figure out which is the easiest way to see this and tension this. Yeah, I've tensioned this one. Right, what I'm going to do is just slightly, very slightly, give that a bit of a squeeze. Just like that. Hopefully I haven't squeezed that too much, so I can actually get an Allen key in there and start tensioning this. Right, 6mm Allen key. Let's see if I can get this in there. Yep. It's not tight enough, I don't think, that bolt. The other problem is I cannot see. That tension is in a horrible spot. I can't see it. Bastard. God, they don't make this easy. The most important thing is getting the tension right, and yet they hide the tensioner in behind the water pump. Fucking geniuses. So, tighten up the water pump bolt a bit more. What I'm trying to do is tighten up the bolt a little bit more, but not too much. Enough so I can move the tensioner, but it stays in place, which, to be fair, is normally you can't. But, yeah, even now. And you go too far, you can't move the tensioner. I know you can't really see what I'm doing. This is the problem. Should I leave this in or should I not? Because you can't really see what I'm doing, but hopefully the explanation you'll be able to get an idea. Most probably too much now. Yeah, it's too much. Fucking knew it. You normally need to do both of them together. Right, let me figure this out because the camera's in my way and I can't do it properly. I'll get this mark lined up properly, then I'll show you when it's in the car. (1,000,000%) the worst ever timing chain or timing belt tensioner I've ever done. I don't know if you can see that, but look there. Can you see it on camera? There you go. Perfectly on the mark. That was a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Why not put it here where it's right in the middle and you can do it no problem, easy as piss? No, unfucking believable. Right, I've just put my marks on there. I'm going to take out, I just put my marks up on there just to, you know, so I know when I spin the engine. Take this out. Marks at the bottom still line up good. Spin the engine at least twice, minimum of twice, and then if it doesn't lock up, we can put all the covers back on, bleed it, do all that good stuff, and should be good to go. Right, what you really want is when you pull this, you don't want it to move. Now, if it moves, but it all moves together, so let's say it moved one tooth here, one tooth here, one tooth at the bottom, you haven't got an issue. But if it slips here, if this is too loose between here or you've got something wrong, this is where don't worry about it. So this should come out quite easy. There we go. It hasn't slipped, it hasn't moved, that's a good thing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to spin the engine at least twice. Look, if it moves, no big deal. We take the timing belt off, it's frustrating. We take the timing belt off and we have to redo it all again. It's a lot better than starting the engine. If we turn it and it doesn't lock up and you don't realise there's an issue, at least you won't do any damage. So what I mean by that is even if the timing is off, but as long as you've turned it a minimum of twice and it hasn't locked up, then you know you're not going to do any damage. It just might not sound very nice or go properly or anything like that, but at least you know you won't do any damage. If you spin it and it locks up, you are a mile out. Do not start it because you will cause serious damage. So I'm going to spin this just now by hand and I'm going to see if, well, see what happens basically. can feel compression, which is good. There we go. That's always a good sign. Happy days, happy days. Look at that. Marks are perfect on the bottom, on the top, and spot on the bottom. Awesome. Now we can put it all back together. So I'm going to do that off camera, just putting the covers back on and stuff like that. And we'll see what happens. Right, a couple of important things I want to show you. You can see the little notch cut out on the bottom pulley, and you can see it lines up with the engine. So be very, very careful you get that the right way like that, because if you put it on there, it's not on properly. You're going to break something, you're going to cause serious damage. So make sure that's actually properly in place like that. Then in the kit we get 2 new bolts. And you might think, oh, okay, because they're the same size and everything, but different thread. And the way to check the thread, let's see if I can do this. Hang on. Right. So when you put this bolt up against this bolt, you can see they don't slot in properly, and I can't lock them in. When I put them in against this one, look at that, it's locked in. I can't move it. But this one, I can move it. So make sure you get the right bolt, because otherwise you start screwing that in, new engine. Get the right bolt, screw it in first, because otherwise you're in fucking trouble. Another thing that's really important, don't be tempted to leave a gap between the engine and the engine mount and just get your gun and screw it down, or even by hand, because the chances are you're going to strip the threads. Make sure it is all the way to the top. Like that. I shouldn't have even left them bolts in, to be honest, because sometimes they can get caught. Then screw them in by hand like this. Screw them all in, but all in. So even these ones, these in the right place. Yeah. And then the way I like to do it is, oh, my light's gone. Screw these down first, the engine mount to the car, and then screw the mount to the engine. But like I said, make sure there's no gap. Right, this is just what I personally like to do. I like to keep as much as the timing covers off as possible to start it, just to see, because if you cover everything, you might start seeing some metal shavings, or you might start seeing something weird that you won't see when the covers are on. With this, you have to put quite a lot of the covers on. Unfortunately, some cars you can get away with putting less on. I've just put all the connections back just to stop anything, even though nothing's connected properly. It's just stopping engine light coming on. This should now start. I've got it topped up of coolant, so we're going to keep an eye on the coolant, make sure there's no leaks, make sure it's circulating, make sure we get it completely un-airlocked. But essentially now this should start, and it should sound okay. It shouldn't sound rough at all. So we will now just double check everything. Make sure nothing is rubbing, and we'll give it a go. And there we go. That sounds good. What I'm going to do now is just make sure it doesn't leak water, make sure it circulates, make sure we've got hot air inside, and yeah, should be good to go. Alright, just let this circulate. Make sure I've got hot air inside and all that good stuff. Right, and there we go, we are all good. What I always like to do with the timing belt is I always like to take it for a proper drive, let the engine go through a few heat cycles to make sure there's no leaks. Also, to leave it sitting overnight before I give it back to the customer, just to double check the fluid levels and stuff, because you can, you know, bleed the system, the radiator system, and put water and coolant in or whatever you're going to put in, and you know, a few hours later or after a couple of heat cycles it'll go down a little bit. Customer might get worried if, you know, it goes down over a few days, they might think there's an issue. So that's why I always try and keep the car overnight, give it a good drive, test it in the morning, and it's all good. So there we go. As always, hope it helps. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Don't forget, links up here, links down below, but most importantly, don't forget, get your hands dirty. See you for the next one. Sorted.